Hi, this is Stephanie Patrick. I'm going to talk to you about the new forms here for RTI process at the high school. We're trying to get away from that longer, cumbersome form, and we've created, with help from the teachers, referral forms through Google that are a lot easier and just a little bit less time consuming than the other forms. So the first form is phase 1. It's the one with a light blue background. And this is where you're actually going to be putting a student's name that you think would benefit from the RTI process, and you possibly are thinking there might be a learning disability that has been overlooked. So the first part is your name right here, your position. Then we come into the student's information, the student's last name, their first name, their ID, grade level must be chosen, the date of the referral, and if there are existing supports already in place for that student. Here, this is not necessary, but if you do know of any strengths, especially maybe with socializing, things like that, that are beneficial to know for us to have to give to the SWD department if a referral is going to take place. And it's always good to know that before you talk to a parent as well, to start with those strengths. So it gives us some really good background. Now, here are some check marks for reasons of the referral. And then we have all that would apply down here for reading, writing. And then there's also the part about social emotional that is very important as we're talking to the parent or the student as well. And if there is something that wasn't listed that you weren't able to check off, but you do have another concern, please put that here. There's not asterisk, so it can move on without that. But all the information that you have, the better. If you have a specific learning target for this student, maybe to get to tier 2 and then come back to tier 1 and get out of this altogether without moving on to referral, then that would be great to put your goal here. Okay, the tier 1 interventions that you've already done and have been taking place in the classroom, we need to know that that has begun and that was already starting before moving on to sending this to their other teachers. So once you're done with that, you submit it and then you let me know. And that way I can look for it if it didn't come through to my email. And then the second phase begins, and I'll show you that form now. Here's the phase 2 tracking form. So once somebody has submitted that they have a concern about a student and need all the other teachers to be on the lookout and collecting information, I have that blue form, that phase 1 form. So I go ahead and look to see who that student is in contact with throughout the day. And I go ahead and fill in the template for this form. So you don't have to worry about that. I go ahead and put all of the students' names, or the teacher's names rather, that student has. And then I go ahead and fill the rest of the form out. Now we've sent this on to a couple of different groups of teachers already, and there was some kind of areas of confusion about what tier 2 and tier 3 are. A tier 2 intervention you'll mark if you have modified an assignment for that student asynchronously, if you provided extra options for that child. Please mark tier 2, how many minutes they did that assignment, maybe 15, 20, and then you have to mark what intervention was utilized, and you just choose from the drop down here. If there's a different one that's not mentioned, you can always choose other. Topics covered, please, and notes if there were any, and then it's submit. So every time you do something above and beyond for RTI in a tier 2 or tier 3 intervention, you will fill another form out, even if it's the same student. So for example, you worked with this student, maybe I'm Lori Davis, and I worked with this student on the 19th of January. I did a tier 3 intervention. I spent 30 minutes working one-on-one with this student, so that will be a tier 3 or in a very small group. And we practice comprehension skills and how to find the reading look back maybe possibly as well. And we can mark in my notes that I worked one-on-one with that student. So maybe the next 2 days go by and Lori, again, this student comes from for extra help. So I'm going to fill out another form for this student. And I'm Lori Davis. I'm going to put now maybe it's the 21st or 22nd and tier 3. We were in there for 30 minutes in small group, but maybe this time we worked on vocabulary from our lesson that she was redoing. And we could also probably put that in our notes that we worked on a lesson that was submitted, we redid the lesson and worked on vocabulary, and then just submit. I hope this doesn't seem like a lot of work. If you consider the number of referrals we've had so far, possibly one teacher may have 2 students right now at most that they're tracking. So if you feel that there are any changes that we can make to make it easier for you, please let me know and we'll work on that. But this is very helpful, and then this compiles into a wonderful spreadsheet for us when it's time, or if it is time for a referral to be made. So I appreciate all your hard work, and if you're concerned about a child, again, please go back to that phase 1 blue form, fill it out and let me know, and then I'll get this phase 2 form and send to all of the students' teachers that need to be notified of the RTI process that you feel that student needs to go through. All right, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your year. Thanks.